Back in those days, they had what they call a traveling bureau, and they were like taxis. And you get 3 or 4 guys together, and it only cost me about $250 to go over there and back from Texas. And then on Saturday or Sunday morning, that guy come by, and we get on that car, and it brings us back to the base. And I had to be back there on time, otherwise I wouldn't get no pass. So your Aunt Mary told me, says, "But you know Daddy has never hit Mama again." Really? I said, no. He treats her with a lot of respect. And of course, Dad wanted to hear the stories of me being in the military. Because see, like I told you, he saw military duty with his father.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to tell me, he said, you know, how the Mexican Army treated their soldiers and all that.
What did you say about that?
It wasn't very nice.
So for him, being in the Army was a bad thing.
So then he told me, you know, be always obey your lieutenants, always obey your sergeants, always obey, do what they tell you exactly. Don't do anything, you know, that they don't tell you not to do. So when I went in there, man, I was, yes, sir, you know, I'll do everything as I'm instructed to do so, and I did. I was a top-notch recruit. I had a sergeant, his name was, Tom Koski, he was a Polak. Meanest sergeant I ever knew in my life. Man, I remember one time we was in this theater and they were showing a film, you know, combat film, training. And somehow I got sleeping, I dozed off, and wham! Somebody hit me on the helmet. Man, my ears ringing and thinking, man, I jump out, and then it was a sergeant looking at me and says, "Soldier, you don't go to sleep while you're watching this film." "Yes, Sergeant." "What did I say?" "Yes, Sergeant." And you know, so I never did it again. Never did it again. But he liked me because he saw that my desire to become a good soldier. So when I got done, we graduated, and they turned us all loose to go home on leave before I went to New York to go overseas. He came up to us, and he came up to me, he says, "You're going to make a damn good soldier, Cadena." "Yes, Sergeant." He says, "Just call me Sarge." He says, we're out of training, okay? And I'm sorry, he said, if I sound kind of rough, but he says, I get to shape you guys in case you're going to have to fight the enemy. And I says, I understand. So I went that way, you know, and I never forgot his name because he was a rough sergeant. And we used to have another sergeant, Sergeant Brown. He was the company first sergeant, and he had those 3 rockers and the diamond in the middle. Now he was a dog. Boy, when he screamed and hollered, everybody better be watching.
Now those were career soldiers. Those sergeants that were doing.
Oh yeah,
they were
they've been in the Army for a long time.
Yeah. So
and, I mean, they had ribbons up and down this thing and hashes down their head, you know. I mean, these guys have been in the military for quite a while. Now this Sergeant Koski.
Now, prior to you going into that service, had you been anywhere else besides Clouds Valley?
No.
So all this was new.
Everything but I was eager to.
Everything you saw was brand new to you then.
To me, and I was eager to learn. I wanted to become somebody, you know. Because I said to myself, in my younger life, you know, my teen days, I am not going to work myself to death like my father. I saw my dad work to the bones, and I said, he ain't going to be that with me. And yet I had no schooling. Because your grandfather, all he thought about is work. Like you said about your dad, you know, work was first, and work and this, and he used to not allow me to go to school. So it made it rough on me, you know. But I went to the 7th grade, I think. And I didn't go to school no more because I lost the desire to go to learn, you know. I was due to go to Itasca to the high school over there. I never made it there. And told the teacher, my dad just don't believe in getting educated because he was an uneducated man, so he didn't know any different. My mom used us to argue with him about that. I didn't do any good.
Well, she knew how to read and write, and
Oh, yeah,
she could read.
She went to school herself.
And yeah, but she read, and wrote in Spanish. I find that unusual. Yeah, but in Spanish.
Yeah, her school was all in Spanish.
Oh.
They wouldn't allow Mexicans to go to white school back when she went.
Okay, so she had like Mexican teachers.
But they taught them English. They also taught them English in there.
Because I have some of her letters, and she writes Spanish correctly.
Yes. But they also taught them English in those schools for Mexicans. And of course, when I think it was a new governor, he done away with that. And they told him, no, now we're going to teach these people how to speak English because they're American citizens. And my mother was an American citizen.
Yeah, and I always wondered that because she wrote in Spanish perfectly. And I've looked at some of her letters.
Yeah, but you know what she wrote to me in Spanish, and I would answer back in English.
She would write. Yeah, she understood.
Yeah,
she understood the both.
So she understood both languages.
But I can remember I used to help Mom compose letters for her in Spanish to Abuela, and I would write them in Spanish, and she totally understood that too. She could read.
She spoke perfect English.
Yeah.
She had no problem with English.
Yeah.
But like she said, in her time in school, English was the second language, Spanish was the first language. But then later on, the law changed in the state of Texas, and they said, no. They're American citizens that weren't here, so they're going to know the language here. And then they said, no Spanish should be spoken in the schools anywhere. They wouldn't allow you to speak Spanish in any kind. So, me and you ain't marrying all the rest of your mother and all the rest of, well, we spoke nothing but English anyway. Daddy's the one, your grandfather's the one that spoke Spanish in the house. And Mom was, of course, she hung up between two languages, but she did her best. And she said, no, learn English, mijo. Learn English, mijo. No, she was always telling us that. But
I was very attached to her.
Oh, she was
I
couldn't help it.
She, and there's some ways so much that my mother reminds me of my grandmother.
Yes, you was.
It was just a certain way, and it's hard to explain. It was a touch of her hand.
Yep.
That you knew when she touched you that she loved you.
And your mom, we grew up together. Of all my sisters, she was the quiet one. Never liked to argue. Never got in the midst of disputes, like your Aunt Mary would get into, and Lupe.
I can believe that.
Yeah, but she never. And she was always with my mother. She always was Mom. And
Mom always told me that she didn't like working in the field either.
Oh, none of them did.
Well, especially mine. So she got, even though she wasn't the oldest, she got responsibilities of taking care of the young ones at the house because she got out of going there, and she also left Texas and never really went back like you did. You and her were the only ones that really moved away from
there. Yeah, I said, I'm not coming. I'm not coming back to the state of Texas.
Because she told me one time, she said, those hills over there in Fowles Valley, she said when she was real little, she used to wonder, she says, I wonder what's on the other side of those hills. She said she knew there was something there better, and she wanted that.
I get a picture, I don't know if you guys have one like it or not. It's Uncle Pete, and then Tia Tonya, and there's Concha, Lucy, Tina, and Judy. and they're all barefooted.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah. I got that. Yeah.
The fingers sticking up in the air.
I think you gave a copy of that to Mom.
I gave somebody because she said, ooh, she says, I like to have a copy. Somebody asked me, and I said, well, if you can get one done, I said,
Yeah.
welcome to it.
Yeah, we have a copy of that picture. That is so funny.
Oh, gee.
That is so funny.
And watching my Uncle Pete there,
The Tio Gapo?
Tio Agapo, yeah, and my Tia Antonia. But
I got to know Tia Antonia.
I was her favorite.
And
I was
and
her favorite.
She liked me a lot. I don't know why, but she did. And she asked me would I take her to Mexico. She wanted to go, and I think in her mind she needed to go back, like I think most people do, to where they were, what they grew up with before they die.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't long after that is when she had
When
the
she had
accident.
that accident.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, did you know that before she died, she wouldn't die because she wanted to talk to me?
Really?
She wanted her Prieto, because that's what she used to call me.
Prieto.
Mi negro. I want to talk to him. And Mary says, so what are we going to do? I said, well, Mary, I can't break loose right now. So I'm tied up with my company right now in the business. I said, I can't get away. It's going to be difficult for me to go and see her. So then we set up a plan. I said, I tell you what, she can't hear, she can't see. I said, so why don't we hook up the telephone at the hospital and put it on in the intercom. That way, when she hears my voice, she thinks I'm there. And she says, you think it'll work? I said, well, I don't know what I could tell you. And your tia, Mary said, she's got to, because, she just won't die. She's suffering so much. You ought to see her. I said, you don't have to tell me. I can imagine what she's like. So then I said, okay. So we set it up. I think it was on a Friday, if I remember. And I said, you got everything set? She said, everything's set up. I said, all right. So I said, tía, soy yo, el negro. Ay, mijo, siempre viniste. She said, you came. And she said, oh, I'm so glad you came. She said, look at me. Look what I look like. Oh, and she went on, and I said, tía, I love you very much. You know I always loved you. And she says, yes, mijito, tú has sido mi favorito. I'm your favorite. You're my favorite. She went on.
Oh.
And I said, well, tía, I says, I'm gonna have to leave you. I said, but you're gonna be fine. I said, you're gonna be with Jesus. Sí, mijo, she was telling me, And we left it at that. And then Mary says, she's so happy. Next day, I got a call. She passed away. And I said, she got what she wanted. But she kept asking for me and asking for me. And it's kind of sad that she had to go that way. I'd rather that she had gone in a normal way, natural death. But it was hard for me there for a while, like that. I think it was more hard for me when my tia died than I did with my mom and my dad. When my dad died, I understood clearly. 97 years old. Oh, no, beg your pardon. He was 96 years old. He worked till he was 95, or he couldn't function anymore. And that whole year, off and on, he was sick. My mom used to say, he used to come and say, have you guys feed the cows already? The pigs already tended to? And that was his concern all the time, to feed the animals. And Lucy, at the time, was a teenager, so they were taking care of it. Lucy used to tell me.
Well, he was a good farmer then.
Oh, yes, he was.
Because it takes somebody special to care about animals like that, to worry like that about the livestock and those poor animals that can't take care of themselves,
He was dedicated to farming and the fields and just the smell of the earth when it's turned over to him. It was great. Seeing the crops coming up,
Well, I see you got a little bit of that in you too with your little garden out there.
Oh, me, I love
So
to
see,
plant.
you see, you have some of that same
Yeah.
in you
In
too.
fact, I look like my dad.
Do you?
I'm the only one that really looks like him.
Really?
If my sister would see me, well, Lucy, when they came,
Well, you know, my mother always said that. My mother always said, she said, Theo Felix looks
Yeah.
like my father.
Paul, let the cats in. Turn the light on too, so when your mom and the group comes in. Yeah, it is. When my dad passed away, and then when my mom got sick, I found out why she got sick so early, that she didn't take care of herself. She didn't pursue with the rules of the doctor because she was a diabetic. And diabetes killed her. And then Tina one told me, she says, you know, brother, I hate to complain, but Mary was supposed to look after her and take care of her. And they didn't watch her when she went in the clinic. She would go in the door, but as soon as they left her there, she would go out and never go see the doctor. She'd go home and not take care of her diabetes. So I saw her suffering. When I left her, she was in agony. And I told Lupe, I says, and the girls that were all there, I said, I have to go back. I said, I have to go back because they only give me a few days. And
I remember when you came. That was the first time I met you
yeah,
and Tia.
and they were in a little house up
Helen.
in the hill there in Itasca there.
Yeah.
I remember that.
The windmill.
You remember that?
It was snowing.
No, well, that was when you went.
But 6 years
Yeah, well,
old.
that's when they were little.
But,
Yeah, they were little guys.
Tio and your mother, Tia, had come to Texas to see our grandma.
Who was I staying with at that time? I forgot who I was staying
I
with.
remember when I was there, I was 6 years old and it was snowing.
Oh, I was staying with, who was it?
I remember Pete took him out to that house and left everybody.
I was staying somewhere close by because I didn't want to get too far away from her. Well, I stayed with Tia Tonya
That's
for a
right,
couple
yeah.
of days, and
Yeah.
then from there,
Yeah, I remember because I remember she was fixing Helen Yervitas
Yeah.
and all that, right? I remember that. But see, after you guys left, then I came back because I had to go back to school, and Mom and Carmela went back out there again, and that's when you all came back the second time.
you know, I look back and how did those people make it?
You know what? I went over there to Tia Antonia's house before you came, and it was in March and it was cold.
Yeah,
And you remember the gaps under that door?
yeah.
And that cold wind, and I thought, oh my God, how can this lady live like this? But she was a strong woman,
Oh, yeah.
and
We-
strong in her
You
faith.
think you was going to know about cracks on the walls? And then when we
And-
grew up, our house had cracks in. The snow used to come in.
Really?
And when it snowed that night, we get up in the morning, there's a pile of snow next to where we were sleeping. So we take that snow, we get something, a piece of tin or something, because we no shovels around, and we shovel the thing back out again. And all of us slept in a mattress laying on the floor. And then in that room, they had one pot-bellied heater. And we fed it wood all night long to keep warm. And that's the way we grew up.
That's the house in Files Valley?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was the old house way back at the end of the
Yeah, that
field.
one's gone.
That one is gone, yeah.
Where did you get that piece of the door?
I got it from the second house, the one by the creek.
Oh yeah, that one. Last time I was there, the trees had grown right through it and picked up the roof.
Yeah, but the
It's just
walls
falling
are still
apart.
there.
Well, yeah, I
And
brought.
there's still newspaper on the wall and some wallpaper that Concha recognized.
Well, I tore a board out and gave it to Mary. I don't know what she did with it, where we used to put our names down and everything, on that board.
I got a piece of the front door.
Did
Yeah,
you?
we got the panel. She brought that home. I got it in the garage. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm going to do something with it though. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Well,
do
I went
something.
back there and we were looking, and I found a penny. A penny that I had that had a notch in it.
No way. You
And right
found
there
it?
at the porch, I pulled the boards out and there was that darn penny. I told Helen, I said, look, I used to carry that in my pocket because it had a notch on it.
I found a marble under the porch.
Did you? That's for hours, 'cause we used to play marbles all the time. And then we went inside, and I ripped the molding that was along the floor, and I found an old nickel. And I had them over here until these kids went somehow one day they came in here and they went in and saw that money, thought it was for them, and they went to the store and gave my old money away.
Oh, no.
But it was so sad to me because that big old elm tree had fallen over and rotted, and it was on the ground. And the road that used to go alongside of the field all the way down to the Jenkins house in the back, that was all plowed under and everything else. The hog pen was, the little barn was still there though.
Yeah, and the corn crib.
Yeah, the corn crib, yeah.
Yeah, that was still there too.
Yeah.
I got videotape of it all.
Weren't you with us one time we went down there, Concha?
And the first time I went was when I took Concha back to Texas the last time she went.
Oh, no, there was his mom that we went down there with me, Helen, me, and
I wasn't with you that time.
Concha, Carmen. Several of us went back over there to see the place, you know. We just reminisced about it when we were kids. The well was still there.
Yeah, Concha was scared I was gonna
Fall
walk
in it.
into
Right alongside of the well, on one side, we put, you know, we filled those big wooden barrels full of water. And then when we came out of the fields and worked, we had a tub, and my mom would always had that tub full and let the sun warm it up. You know how hot it gets in Texas. And we take a bath in it. And she had they built a little, my dad did, built a little thing so that, you know, covers up so that it wouldn't be naked out there. And that's where we all took a shower, took a bath. The only place we know how to take a bath is in that tub. And Mom will give us the towels or whatever they can find to dry with. And but I'll always remember that little house. The window in that house, it was in the little kitchen, the one faced the fields. I built that.
Did you?
The boss of the owner of the farm.
The window's broken and out, but I got some little pieces of the glass
Did
that
you?
came out of it.
Well, that window was whole.
I got a brick from the foundation.
Yeah, we got a brick at the house.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the Mr. Files, the owner of the ranch, I told him one day that I wanted a window. He says, "What do you want?" So, because I want to put a window for my mother in the kitchen. And he said, "Well," I said, "You know how to put that window?" I said, "I know how to put it on." He says, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, sir." Bring me the window. Boy, was he surprised when he come back and saw that window in place. He told my dad, he says, "This boy's pretty smart." And Mr. Chandler, Amos Chandler, which was that German guy that lived across from us, he says, "You know what? I think I'll hire you to fix all the windows in that big old mansion." I said, "No, I just picked that one from my mama." And I did a lot of things on it, you know, that I remember I did, you know. Because before we moved in there, Mr. Chandler's father, or we call him Grandpa, they lived him and his wife until he passed away. And then the house became vacant. Well, not vacant because Monroe, one of the boys and his wife lived there for a while, and then they moved to another house down on another farm, and we moved in. Because Mr. Chan said, "Pete, hey, it's no place, no sense of you living in that old house back there again." He says, "It's about ready to fall." He says, "Why don't you move in this one? This is a better house," which it was, you know. So my mom said, "Well, it's too small." But we all slept in that house, and we grew up in that house. And summertime came, man, that creek was famous. It was a big old hole there. We used to swim in that hole because during the rainy season, that rain and that creek would be full of water, and the big old trees that fallen across the thing in the water would just start digging the earth, you know. So by the time the rains were over and that hole cleared up, it was nice crystal water, and we used to go in there and swim all the time. And then we built a little trail right along because Mr. Stuffelbein, that German guy, his property went in, and there was enough room for us to walk up and down into the highway. You know, and sometimes we used to leave the car parked over there because nobody would steal anything in those days. But there's a lot of memories back there. I visualize that thing sometime. When I'm thinking back.
You know, one thing that Mom said, and I don't know if it's maybe just something she might have misunderstood, but she said that your dad had found a piece of gold in that creek.
Yeah, he did.
And he recognized it because she said he had worked in a gold mine
Oh, yeah.
in Mexico. And that I just wonder,
You know what
maybe,
happened?
maybe there is gold there.
But you know what happened?
What?
It stirred up the whole field. Everybody's on that creek looking for gold.
No way.
Oh, man. and-
Everybody was looking for it.
Oh, yeah. People come from all over the place. They want to know where he found that piece of gold.
Do you think he really found it there, or did
No, he
just,
did, but
did
there's
he
probably
just tell a
somebody,
story?
you know, on time.
Yeah.
It probably rolled in from the mountains or somewhere. Somebody, you know, dropped it somewhere else. Because that was the only time anything like that was ever found.
No one ever found any more?
No.
Just that one piece?
Just that one piece of gold. It was just like I saw the thing. It looked weird, you know, but it was shiny as heck. I don't know whatever.
Gold is gold. I mean,
Yeah, but I
there's
don't
no
know
mistake.
I don't know what he did with it. He
Yeah.
might have took it and sold it, or got money for it, or somebody come along and offered him a good price, and he did. I don't know what happened to it.
But it stirred up the whole community.
Oh
huh?
my goodness!
Everybody was looking for the gold.
Everybody looking for gold. Where'd you find that, Pete? You show me exactly where you found it.
He found gold in that creek where your dad grew up.
Oh, the creek that runs right there in
Yeah.
the front of the property?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been to the cemetery and everything.
Well, his dad found this.
You know
nugget,
what somebody
gold
said?
nugget.
Somebody said that probably somebody who brought that gold from somewhere else
And lost it.
and lost it,
It
and,
could have
and then
been.
finally, it showed up, and he was out there, whatever he was doing in that
Almost
creek,
down
and,
that well.
and he saw the thing shiny, and he picked it up, and it was a piece of gold.
And so everybody was hunting gold, huh?
Yeah,
Gold-
I have a feeling that
gold
guy
fever.
Knuckles.
Gold fever
Gold
in Fowles Valley.
But I have a feeling that guy Knuckles, the old man Knuckles, counted into selling it to him.
Really,
Yeah.
Mr. Knuckles. huh?
Yeah, because he had plans, you know, that he was going to make some money on it. Because he was a panicular. He's one of those crooks, real crooks.
I even seen where Dad was born. I went and saw what was left of that little shack over there. He got married to that. I said, your daddy was born.
Yes.
Did you get up here tell you about his grandparents yet?
No, let's back up again before I run out of battery here. I'm going to have to go buy another battery. About what you know about, oh, there goes the battery. So,
Yeah.
well, I can't.
Where's the little charger thing?
I'm going to have to stop here and we'll pick up with the recording tomorrow.
Okay. Hey,
But-
you get some fun time.
Yeah.
Did you bring the plug in for me?
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to pick up again where we left off yesterday and didn't get it recorded. But
Okay.
what I'm going to ask you is a few questions
Uh-oh.
about your father and his father first. Where did you know them to be from, that family, the Cadenas? Where did they originate in
From
Mexico?
San Luis Potosí
San Luis
in
Potosí.
Mexico.
Okay. And then,
And this happened back in the 1800s. They came across the border into Texas. My grandfather, Guadalupe, was in the Mexican Army. And he went AWL from the Mexican Army because he didn't want to fight in a revolution with Pancho Villa. And he brought his family with him, which consisted of, as near as I know, was my father, my aunt, my two aunts, and Antonia. My father was the name, his actual name was Bernardino. And also my sister, my aunt Ambrosia, but then she returned to Mexico and lived in Mexico, and he tried to go back. In the meantime, they migrated into the valley, Fowles Valley, and made their stand on there, and and that's what we all grew up at. But my father, Guadalupe, was part French, part Indian, and part Mexican. He had green eyes and he had blonde hair. He was white, real clear. And my father, being that he was part Indian, and part of my dad showed more Indian than anything else. And they came and like I said, settled in Fowles Valley, Texas, where they began to farm and
Do you know what they did in Mexico? What kind of work they did there?
well, along the border in Piedras Negras and in the Eagle Pass area and the Texas border, they worked in the coal mines. And they worked there 14 years. And then my grandfather crushed his leg, and that's when I gave up coal mining. My grandfather was crippled, and this is when he went to Mexico to the patron saint Santo Niño de Atocha to ask him to heal his leg and his foot, and he did. But I want to make one comment here. My father was married to another woman before he married my mom. She died of childbirth. She had one child, and a girl, but she didn't live very long, and she died. And then my dad became widowed.
Where did that happen?
In Fowles Valley, Texas.
So he had married someone there in Fowles Valley.
Yes.
But you don't know the name of that lady?
Oh, I used to know the name, but I have no idea now. But
And
let's see if I can remember the last. Oh my God! Because one of the boys of that family went in the army with me, but I can't remember the last name. And I got to meet that part of the family years later when I was older, but I don't remember her name.
the little girl is buried there.
In Fowles Valley.
Fowles Valley, where
yeah,
Guadalupe
yeah.
is buried.
So I don't know where they buried the lady. They might have made her somewhere. I don't know where she's buried. But that was his wife before my mother. Now, going back a little more, my father was married 7 times. Never had no children by the other women. Well, he had that one child by that woman before he married my mom. But then, of course, 10 of us came from my mother. I just want to put it into the record so that they know that the history of my dad and his life. My dad was shorter than me. He was about a couple of inches shorter than me. He was husky, hardworking. He feared no man. He didn't care if a man's 10 foot tall, you know. He was ready to fight him if he had to. He was quite aggressive. By the time I got to know him, he was already of age. As you saw the age in that birth certificate that I gave you, how old my mother was and how old he was. There was a great difference in their ages. But he made life there in Fowles Valley, and that's about that I can recall now. But I hope I didn't forget anything, because it's important that I said they came from Mexico and migrated into the United States. The reason they did. One more comment I want to make, that the Rio Grande was a little trickle of water. They crossed on foot. It was not the Rio Grande as it is today. And then in the 30s, I think it was about 1935 or around there, 36, immigration authorities came by and checking on all the Mexicans who were in Texas. They're trying to deport all of us illegally and didn't belong there. So when it came to my father, they asked him, where you come from and where were you born and how long you been in the United States? So he says, we came in somewhere in the late 1800s. And the man asked him, he says, what did Rio Grande look like? And he described it to a letter. And the man said, "You're automatically a citizen. You've been here already too long. Says, we welcome you to America." They gave him some kind of paper, you know, and gave it to my mom. So they asked my mom, "What about you, lady?" She says, "I was born in Cameron, Texas." And she said, "Oh, okay." She says, "We don't need to talk to you." So my father was actually, so we say, made an American citizen by the time he had lived in this country. So he had farmed all his life. He worked hard, you know. So he's never one of those that came here to get off the land. He came here to give the land from his work. And like I said, he worked a long time for Mr. Lee Files, which is the owner of the ranch. And he worked finally became a sharecropper, where he was part of what they raised. If it's 2 wagons of corn, one belonged to the owner, 2 wagons belonged to the owner, and 1 wagon belonged to him. This is the way because really there was no money.
That was the rules of sharecropping.
That was the agreement,
Yeah.
and my dad used to get $20 a month. That's what he got paid. That's it, $20.
$20 a month.
But in those days, you could go buy a dozen eggs for a nickel. I mean, gasoline was only 17 cents a gallon, and also, and so $20 actually was
Pretty good money, huh?
quite a good money, yeah. But my dad overdid himself. He used to work from sun up to sundown, which he really didn't have to, but he was grateful that he was working and he had a good boss who really thought the world of him. And to him it was important. He believed in honesty. He didn't believe in robbing anybody. He didn't believe in cheating anybody. And he didn't want nobody to cheat him. And that's the way he was.
And I heard stories about him being a very charitable person.
Always. There used to be gypsies who come by. And while the gypsies were talking to him, the gypsy woman was like catching chickens, and she'd tell the chickens to put them under their dresses and steal them. And we knew they were doing it, but we didn't tell them anything. So they come in, and my dad would give them potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, onions, so they could go on their journey. They would come in there in covered wagons, and they were pulled by either horses or mules. And they think, well, we knew we had those chickens, so that means they're going to have chicken at night. My mom used to laugh, but she could see them through the window. They were doing it, but she wouldn't say nothing. And many other people that come by. Farmers, you know, that the crops went bad on them. He would help them, you know, with food, because there was no money. Sometimes he'd go to the mill where they grind the corn and make meal out of it, and he'd maybe bring back 3 or 4 sacks, or he would give 1 sack to Mr. Davis, Frank Davis, and tell him he wanted to buy some stuff. So he would take that corn meal and he'd put it up for sale. Those lived in the town that they have no farming, and for other food for my dad.
So it was kind of like you might call it a barter system.
Yeah.
Like
Trade,
barter.
Trading not for money but for food. So when he went to the mill and he said he took 4 sacks of meal, the guy at the mill held 1 sack behind. Now they take that sack and they sell it to stores and whatever. And we used to do that. My dad always did that. But if somebody come in and were hungry, there was my dad. When we raised about 150 goats, milk goats. We take the milk and we milk the goats, and we take that milk and we put it in those big containers they used to have. And it was given to the military, sold to the military for the soldiers who were gassed during World War I. That the goat milk was a very healthy milk for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
goodness. I didn't know that.
yeah, and so we sold that. Then my mother started raising turkeys. We raised turkeys for the government. And they come in, the inspectors, the government inspectors, and they would fill the turkey's chest and a turkey had a crooked chest, no good. You only take ones that had straight chests, you know, and sometimes they take 50, 100, 150 turkeys, you know. So they all grew up wild in the thing, you know. Of course, we fed them too. We fed them corn and barley and maize because we grew all that stuff, the oats. So we had some healthy animals. My mother would sell that, you know, and this is how we were making money in order to buy our needs, like clothes and things for the kids. My mom and my dad.
But he was a really good farmer too, then.
Excellent farmer.
Because he cared for those animals.
Oh yeah.
And didn't let them ever suffer.
And he was never one to mistreat the animals unless he got mad. You know, and of course I said, Dad, don't hit him. He said, it's not the mule's fault, you know, but he'd get upset, you know. And then I'm sure he must have felt bad afterwards. But we raised pigs for our use, made bacon from that. We made sausages from that. We didn't kill many cows. Most of the time we used to go to town and buy the meat from there. And we had an old meat grinder that my mom used to use to grind the meat, and she wanted to make some other things, you know. And we used to have, and the smokehouse we always had plenty of chorizo hanging there. Bacon, plenty of bacon there. I got to tell you a story about that old house. Well, I was just a teenager, you know, and we had this little, your grandmother raised terriers. This insurance man used to come in and sell insurance, and he also sold sewing machines. One day, he asked my mom if she would like to have a little dog, a couple of little dogs. So, Mom, well, you know, we were, yeah, Mama, get the dog. And they were little terriers, a little fox terriers. They all are born with a short tail, naturally. And next thing you know, we got a whole mess of little dogs, you know. But they're nice little dogs. They're sweet little dogs. So one day, one of them, we couldn't find him. So Mama said, oh, somebody's done stole that little dog. And I said, Mom, what are we? And she said, no, he's been missing out for a couple of days. We never looked in the smokehouse. And the smoke door had an opening like this, and they can actually get in there.
Yeah.
Well, these dogs, you know, they jump.
Yeah.
And they jump pretty high. Well, the bacon was hanging, and he grabbed hold and locked his jaws, and he couldn't let go. He hung there for 2 days, that poor little dog, on that bacon. Oh, we left. She went up there and picked him up, you know, and we had to take a stick to pry his jaws open because they got locked in, you know. Oh, she went and she rubbed, let him with the sun on that poor little dog thing, you know, but boy, was he happy. You know, he run around with his mouth like this for a few days.
Oh, that's too funny.
And finally, it was, we laughed and laughed and laughed at that, about that little dog, you know, so much. When we found him hanging on from that,
hanging on to the bacon.
yeah. Yeah, I said, wow, you know. We,
that's just too funny.
Yeah, it's experience on the farmers. It's just, you know, something that somebody, all people, I think they ought to acknowledge and experience, you know, the life of the farmers.
So would you say
it can be real funny and good.
Would you say that's a good kind of life for somebody to experience, or was it too much?
We never thought about being in our, what do you call it? There's not a such thing as a lonely life.
Because a lot of this was during the Depression, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
A lot of people were without money and things.
During the Depression, my mother used to can string beans, black-eyed peas, well, this year, peaches and plums, cabbage, and she used to make pickles. And we had a cellar, storm cellar, in the ground, under the ground, and she would put all of that there so none of it was spoiled, and it stayed up forever. It seemed like, you know, 'cause that's how we ate during the wintertime when we didn't have nothing. And then my dad had a hole in the ground, and then he filled it all full of hay. And that's where he put the sweet potatoes and the potatoes. Then he covered it up with more hay, and I forgot what else he put over that hay, and then he covered it and kept it up. Those potatoes never rotted. When summer come around and got ready for the, seasonal crop, we practically take all those potatoes, and now we can take them out where and they were good. So that's how we ate the potatoes anyway. And my mom's favorite dish was to make a lot of mashed potatoes. Man, potato soup, man, we ate a lot of potato and onion soup. And now, if I go out sometime and kill a squirrel, or my dad killed a rabbit, she would take that rabbit, cut it up, and stick it in, throw it into the potato soup to give it flavor. That's how we used to eat in winter, because we had nothing else to eat.
So you went and hunted the squirrels and the rabbits.
Yeah, well, but no, it didn't happen all the time.
That's the small game that was on the land.
And then, of course, later on, we used to go hunt quail, and also dove. And my dad had a 410 shotgun, and I'd go up there, and there used to be several of us, kids, and we'd kill 2-3 dozen of those things, bring them home, and my mother.
Now, is that the gun that you still have, that shotgun?
No, this is a different one.
Oh, okay.
It was a single shot.
I remember Mom talking about that 410. And Lupe too shot that gun, didn't she?
Yeah, well, their old shotgun, I don't know whatever happened to it, but it was a single shot. And you only stuck one shell on it and fired in and broke it and popped the shell and took another one in. But we go up on those hills up there and we hide under the gullies, and all those doves would land on the mesquite tree. Wow, man. We'd bring about 2-3 at a time.
Wow.
And we lay there.
With one shot with a 410?
Yeah.
Man.
And because it scattered,
Yeah.
And we lay there practically 2-3 hours real quiet. And the next group of those quail come, because we used to take and throw broken corn.
Yeah.
So that they can eat. They'd see that corn, they'd come and eat, Well, we nail them every time. I'd go home with a sack full of things. My mom used to love to cook. My mom cooked them with potatoes, fried them, and man, dinner was at hand.
With the quails or the doves?
Yeah, the doves or the quail, which you wanted, and potatoes, and with onions. We used to grow onions. I kid you, they were that huge, almost 6 inches to 8 inches in diameter, and they were about a couple of 3 inches thick, white onions. We used to grow those, and they used to grow big. We take those onions too during the winter and stick them into that hay where my dad put them in.
And the onions would last like that?
Oh
too?
yeah, there was nothing go wrong with them. So, what my dad did, he would take burlap sacks. That's what he used. He'd throw burlap sack in and he put hay and burlap sack away. But at the bottom, he'd have one burlap sack where my mother can reach over there and get the hay. I said, Mama, aren't you afraid you might grab a hold of a snake when you go in there? She said, no, a snake won't come in here. Yeah, but see, that's warm. He said, no. So he did what you can get the regular potatoes, and then he had another little thing where he'd go down and get to the iced potato or the sweet potatoes, and he had another spot where he'd go and get the onions. Oh, one more vegetable, cabbage.
The cabbage would last in there too?
They would stick it in that thing, and only you just peel the outer thing. That's the only thing that was spoiled, and now you've got a fresh cabbage like you never saw.
So they canned.
And they canned
and they did that. What would you call that way of preserving those root vegetables? Like burying them in the ground?
Well, they wasn't actually buried.
Well, sort of.
It was a shallow thing, just so the hay would fall into that.
So, but that was a way of preserving them. Because if you didn't do that,
preserved,
they would spoil,
they had to go. Otherwise, the ice and the cold weather would. Ruin them.
So it would keep. Even when it was cold, it wouldn't freeze.
Yeah, well, we lose some of the outer ones,
Okay.
few, but not that many. So now, here we go again. Spring is coming, time to plant, and my dad go and pull potatoes with sprouts. And they cut those little,
That's a seed, huh?
yeah, and then we go see, and we got, I mean, a bucket full of them. And we go out there and he'd get that mule and the plow and start making a row. And we would go in and throw those potatoes and then we'd cover them up. And the next thing you know, you got those plants coming out of the ground.
Hmm.
You know, and the same thing with the onions. And same thing with the sweet potatoes. Once they start sprouting, there was my mom cutting those little things out of them to plant them. We used to plant, we had a garden right in front of the house that we had planted.
Now, some of what you guys ate, you got from the woods, right? Like the pecans and
Well, we
plums.
picked pecans. We used to pick up wild plums, wild grapes.
Those are things that grow wild out there.
Yeah,
right?
what do you call the other ones? God, what do you call the apples? The little apples. The other wild.
The crab apples?
Crab apples.
Crab apples, yeah.
Yeah, there were trees all over the place. They were wild. You know. And I remember what the other farmers that were with us, you know, that lady used to go in and she said, "Don't y'all come on and steal my crab apples. They're for me." Shoot, that's the lady. Those are for everybody. God planted them so we had everybody to. We only going to take enough to, so my mama can make candles. Well, don't throw them and don't start spoiling them, she said. No, ma'am, we won't. So we get a bucket full, you know, we take it to my mom. And she either worked together with some of the LAs in canning, and they canned it together.
So they used to work together.
And then they divided
They helped each other.
Yeah. What we call them, glass jars were valuable. And they use those jars over and over again every year. The only thing they bought is the cover, the cap.
Yeah, the lid.
Yeah. That's the only thing they bought.
So this was back in the day before you had refrigeration, and this was your way of preserving.
Yeah, well,
food.
there was,
So you had the smokehouse.
got the
You
smoke
had-
out for the meats, and the canned food was stored in that cellar to keep it cool because it was cool in there. Because the cellar had about 3 or 4 feet of dirt over it, you know, and the stuff stayed real good. And they had a wooden door that we used to close. Snakes lived there, rats lived, but they couldn't touch that stuff anyway, you know, they couldn't hurt it. So we used to go in there and my mom said, "Go get me a jar of this, mijo." But she tell my sister, "I ain't gonna go down there." You ain't Mary, you couldn't hear her go down there, saying, not even with a double barrel shotgun. But me and Tina and one of my others, I don't know which one other one, we used to go down there, you know, and I told her, I said, "You hold the door open, let's look around first, see if there ain't any snakes." Because once you open the door, there was light in there. And then we look at it, and there was this big old chicken snake stretched out over there, you know, but it was a little ways from the can, so we just reached out and got the can. My mom wanted a jar, and we didn't bother with the snake. Rats had nests down there too, but we didn't bother with them because they couldn't touch anything. The rats, and it was weird that the rats didn't even bother with the potatoes. And my father said it was the onions that kept those animals away from it. I don't know how true that was, but it was true.
It's hard to keep rats out of anything, you know. They're
Yeah,
destructive.
but and then he said
And
that
they
the
wouldn't
onion,
touch. They
smell of
wouldn't
the
touch
onion
them.
was very strong.
That's pretty amazing, you know. That just living like that, and then back then too, you had ice delivering.
Yeah,
to the
we had
house.
ice boxes.
So you could keep something cold for a short period of time.
We used to order, every week we used to order 100 pounds of ice, which cost 50 cents.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
50 cents for 100 pounds.
Yeah, right now you can buy 5 pounds of ice for 50 cents.
No. And they delivered that to their house?
Yeah, they'd come in right inside the guy that hard the ice and put it right in the ice box we had in the kitchen. And you put that 100 ice in there, and then we stored our milk in there. And not really too many stuff you could put in there, you know, but that's where Mama put it all. If we were going, and listen to this, we're going to eat beef
Yeah.
when we had it there. The beef was salty, where no bug or worm would get into it. When my mother got ready to cook that, she would get a big pot and boil it, boil the salt out of it,
Yeah.
and then rinse it out, and meat was good meat, fresh meat.
Did you dry any of the meat?
Oh yeah,
Like
we had turkey hanging out
turkey.
there all the time. Oh yeah,
So that was the other.
we made jerky out of rabbits.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Jerky. I heard my dad talk about that.
Yeah, and for the dogs, to feed the dogs, we had a bunch of dogs. All the jackrabbits we used to catch and kill, we had to have them hanging in that same smokehouse, salty. So when we wanted to feed the dogs, you know, we took a couple of those carcasses we had hanging there, and your grandma would take them and put them in this pot we had, and they boiled them, boiled the salt out of them, and then feed the pieces to the dogs. That was their meal. Healthy dogs too, so they ate good. But that's all we did with a jackrabbit. We didn't eat jackrabbit. It's all for the dogs. Jacks were no good to eat. The only thing we ate was squirrels. We'd have them maybe 15, 20, 30, up to 50 squirrels hanging there. They were jerky.
The squirrels were preserved that way too.
Yeah, well, we had nothing else to put them in, and we couldn't down to freeze them with.
Yeah.
And the rabbits that we killed, the
What-
cottontails,
Cottontail is a rabbit you ate,
we did the same thing with them.
but you didn't eat the jackrabbit, eh?
No, we served those for the dogs.
Jackrabbit's tough, isn't it?
Very tough. But that's the way we preserved our stuff. The ice box, we always use the ice to make iced tea. And Mama always makes sure, don't chip too much. Don't break up a lot of it. Because that block of ice has to last till next week when
And if you chipped it off, it would melt.
well, too much of it, yeah, you know, and make that hunk of ice smaller.
Yeah.
And we had a ball with that.
What about fish? Did you catch fish?
Catfish.
And so fish was part of the diet.
Most of the time, we went fishing was during summer.
So that was more for the summertime. You
Yeah,
got
we'd
fresh
catch those
fish.
big old cats and
And you got those out of the creek?
yeah, right there in the creek. We'd go into those holes in there. We'd bring them out and big old cats. And my mother would take them
How did
deep fresh
you catch the fish?
By
With a
hand.
fishing pole?
with a hand.
Just by hand?
Yeah, we call it grappling. When you go in there and you feel around, you can feel that fish, and you look for his belly,
Yeah.
so you can put your fingers right in the gill here. And man, when you did, you snapped it, and man, that thing, I mean, freaking twist your wrist. And we got those things, we pull them out and throw them out on the bank, you know, and then we'd whack them with a stick, you know, to kill them. And we didn't catch it, you know, and overcatch them. We just caught enough for
What
my
you
mother
could
to
eat.
make a meal. You know.
Yeah.
We had a black guy there, the Mayberry, Ham Mayberry, and his family lived across the street from us in a little house. And he used to say, "Hey, Dominga, did you go catch any fish today?" I says, "No, you didn't go with me. How come you didn't go with me?" He used to be afraid to put his hand because one time Raymond, your Uncle Raymond went in there and stuck his hand in this hole, and he pulled out a big old water moccasin he had by the head.
Oh, God.
And oh boy, did he get scared. Now he wouldn't stick his hand in there anymore. And this black guy, he was gonna put his hand in there, but nobody. One time we were down by the Williamson place, and the creek across got bigger there, more water. And we were looking for these catfish, and we're all naked. We didn't have no clothes because we gotta have them in the water. You know, there was no such thing as trunks or bathing suit in those days, unless we just got our clothes wet. But if we got our clothes wet, it was rough to walk back to home with a wet pair of pants. So one day, Ham, Mayberry, and another guy, was a cousin of his, I can't remember his name now, but he said, "Hey, we're gonna go get some fish today." I said, "Yeah." "How we gonna do it?" I said, "By hand." "You gonna come?" "Yeah." I said, "I'll go with you." I said, "Let's go." I said, "We're gonna go down by the Williamson place, I said, where the holes are deeper and bigger catfish." "Okay." And this friend of his was squatted down on the sand, you know. And all of a sudden he felt himself moving. And he said, hey, hey, see you guys, is the earth moving? So we look at him and see like he was crazy. The earth moving? Oh, what you talking about? Yeah, he says, I felt the earth move. Yeah, so we'll continue on going in the folder looking for fish. A few minutes later, then we heard a yell, a scream. Well, man, look here! He was like hollering, you know. He was squatted down right on top of one of the big alligator turtles. Those things, I mean, they got a neck that big. And when that thing, you know, start crying there, you know, right away, everybody says, hey, he said, let's get the sack and put it in.